Hey there everybody, my name is Jess and welcome to Right in the Childhood and welcome to another game review. So as you may notice, I'm in a completely different place. We're in the middle of a move, so my streaming and my video schedule is a little bit off. I did want to try to get a video out for you guys this week, so here it is. This is what I got. I recently finished Ori and the Blind Forest. By recently, I mean a few weeks ago. But I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about my thoughts and ranking this game for you, because every time I finish a game here on the page, I give it a rank. But before I get started, allow me to quickly review the RITC grading scale for games. Each game will be rated in 7 different categories: gameplay, characters, replay value, sound and music, atmosphere, graphics, and story. Each category contains subcategories worth 5 points each. The highest score a game can receive is 100 out of 100. I will also give each game a difficulty rating from 1 to 10, which will not contribute to its overall score. First on the list is gameplay, so let's talk about controls. I find that a lot of modern games have very complicated control systems that can take some time to learn and that can be very confusing. However, I think this game is an exception. Even though nearly every single button on the controller is used, the controls are just so fluid and natural, and I never once got my buttons mixed up, which is pretty incredible considering how often I mix up buttons and how many actions you can perform in this game. Every single movement was very, very natural. It's so hard to find a game with controls that are just essentially flawless. So I give that a 5 out of 5 for sure. Sense of direction. This game always points you in the right direction, but it doesn't force feed you one single path to get there. The goal is put on your map, and how you get there is completely up to you. You can warp there, or at least close. You can explore on your way there. You probably have to solve a few puzzles along the way. But this game incorporates the need to explore into the story very, very well without forcing it on you. You should never, and in this game, you should never be completely lost, at least most of the time. I think the one exception to that would be the Misty Woods. That's the area that actually you don't get a map until you're already done with it. I liked that the map was taken away for a portion of it, because you really have to keep track of where you've already been, where you've already explored. The area, comparatively with other areas, is very, very linear. But as you're going through it, it's very disorienting, and I know that that's by design, but my first time playing through it, it got really, really frustrating trying to figure out where to go next. So that's really the one place I would dock a point for sense of direction. So sense of direction gets a 4 out of 5. Ease of travel. Getting from place to place sometimes took a little bit of thinking. There were a lot of areas where you had to get a little bit creative about how to reach a ledge, or how to get across a gap, or how to reach something, like if you could see a life orb or something, how to get up there. You were given warp points, which definitely helped, saved a lot of time. There were a couple of optional abilities in the game too that did help getting around a little bit easier. I never really had a lot of trouble figuring out how to go from place to place. There were a couple of segments that were a little bit tricky, and some segments that required just a tremendous amount of timing and precision, and those did get a little bit aggravating. I'm looking specifically at the volcano section. That's a very, very difficult section. But the difficult sections were very few and far between. But I feel like I still need to dock a point, just because those sections were very, very hard. Very, very little room for error, and it got frustrating sometimes. 4 out of 5 for ease of travel. Leveling. The leveling in this game consisted of leveling up your abilities, revealing more on your map, more details, getting more XP every time you killed an enemy, that kind of thing. I really liked your abilities could get stronger throughout the game. And I also really liked that your map could reveal more and more, because it showed you which areas you needed to go back and revisit and explore some more. It actually saved a lot of needless exploring. It saved me a lot of time, so I really, really liked that. And pretty basic, you level by killing enemies. It gives you sort of an XP. It's not really XP, I think it's called light orbs or something like that. And the enemies respawned pretty regularly, so it wasn't hard to get those higher upgrades. It's a very simple leveling system, but it's also very, very effective for this game. 5 out of 5. Menu navigation. The map was very helpful. I used it all the time. I'm pretty sure about half my gameplay was spent looking at my map. But the menus, too, were very easy, and they were very informative. Sometimes maybe a little bit too informative, like how my menu showed me how many times I died. Very encouraging. Thank you so much for reminding me how terrible I am at this game. Anyway, menus get a 5 out of 5. So the score for gameplay is a 23 out of 25. That is a solid score. Let's talk about characters. Development. You know what's really remarkable about this game? It creates very deep and very lovable characters, and none of them say anything. Ori goes from this weak, struggling little light spirit to just this powerhouse on a mission to save the forest. And you can feel the growth of the strength and the determination. And again, he does it without a single word. Naru, who's the friend you meet at the very beginning, she has a lot of character, even though she's in the game for a very brief amount of time. She's very caring, she's very selfless. Those traits seem like they just grow as the story moves on. Then you have Gumo, who's that, I don't know what exactly he was, I don't remember what his species was called. He was that big, like, round head with the long legs. He starts out as a bad guy, right? He steals one of the elements, but he turns into a good guy when Ori is nice to him. And then he actually contributes to the story later on. I think he probably is the best development in the whole game. We see an entire character arc with him. We also see a character arc with Kuro, who is the bird. She is the antagonist during this game. But by the end, I mean, you learn she was really doing it just to protect her egg. So there, I mean, as far as development goes, there's not a ton, but the characters do show a lot of depth, and each character is very unique. And so I'll dock a couple of points simply because there's not tons of development, but there is some. So I'll give it a 3 out of 5, which is still pretty good. Backstory. We actually see the backstory of Ori and Naru at the very beginning, and it's a very, very touching story. I actually cried the first time I saw it. If you didn't cry the first time you saw it, you're probably not a human. Gumo actually has a sad story too. That long-legged guy, he's the only one left of his race. And you actually find like all of his dead race later on in the game, and it's very, very sad. And I mean, I think he had every right to be mad and take out his anger, but I was so happy when he changed and when he became Ori's friend. And then you have Kuro's story, the backstory there, which is really, really sad, with the eggs getting destroyed and all that sort of stuff, and why she's trying to stop the forest from the light from returning to the forest. So why does everything in this game have to be really sad? I feel like everything in this game is really sad. But the backstories are perfect for this game. I have to give backstories a 5 out of 5. Relationships. Just watch this. Do I really need to say anything else about this topic? Actually, I do want to say, I really like the relationship that develops between Naru and Gumo. I think I still have those names right. They become such good friends, and Gumo gets a home at the end. They all kind of like live together at the end, and they have the picture the little painting at the end with everybody together, and it's super, super cute. So 5 out of 5 for relationships. Love them. Contribution to the story. This is one of those rare games where every character actually really does contribute to something very important. There's no one extraneous out there. Ori, obviously, his main character, the game's named after him, drives the whole thing. You've Gumo, who stole the element that Ori's searching for, actually later helps Ori, and helps Naru while she searches for Ori. And then you have Kuro, who's the reason that the forest is withering because she stole the light from the tree. You have Sane, or Cian, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, who's the guide, and the little ball of light. It actually helps tell some of the story. You've got the spirit tree too, and he's the narrator. He has, maybe a dozen lines in the whole game. But he does provide important backstory and that sort of thing. So everybody is important and helps tell the story. So contribution to the story is a 5 out of 5. So as far as characters go, we have an 18 out of 20. Still really good. Replay value. I would absolutely play this game again. There are tons of secrets and places to explore. There's one area that's completely optional. I actually did it in this playthrough. I don't remember what it's called. The Black Marsh or something like that. This stream that I did was actually my second playthrough, and I loved it just as much as I loved my first playthrough. I feel like this is a game I could play over and over again and love it each and every time. And there's not a lot of games I can say that about. 5 out of 5 for replay value for sure. Sound and music. Memorability. There are some pieces in this game that are very, very memorable. In particular, I love the main menu theme. Let's just take a listen to that for a second here. It's just beautiful, beautiful music. All of the music is just stunning. And the sound design is really, really good too. I love Ori's cute little noises. His little noises are super cute. The combat just has this very satisfying, it's very satisfying to listen to. The sound's just excellent all around. So 5 out of 5 for memorability. Contribution to the atmosphere. The music helps create this atmosphere of mystery and exploration and loneliness and fear and joy. Who knew you could fit so many emotions into a single soundtrack? I have to say, I listen to a lot of soundtracks, and I've been studying music for over 20 years, and I have to say, this is probably one of the most emotional soundtracks I have ever heard. You can tell exactly what's going on, you can tell exactly what everybody is feeling just by listening to the music. It's pretty incredible. 5 out of 5 for that. Sound and music is a 10 out of 10. Like, I'm not surprised. Okay, well, it makes sense for atmosphere to be next since we were just talking about that. So let's talk about atmosphere. Emotion and feeling. Do I really need to play this clip again? And what about this part? All of the emotions are here. It's absolutely incredible because there's so little dialogue in this game. It's mind-blowing. It really is that there's so much emotion packed into this little game. This little 7 or 8 hour game. It's 5 out of 5. No question. Immersion. I was absolutely immersed. The visuals, the sound, the music, the characters, the story, everything just pulled together and just created this unbelievable atmosphere. I think my only critique here, the only thing I can whine about here, is when the game got really, really difficult, and that did kill it for me just a little bit. There were a couple times on my first playthrough that I actually had to stop playing because I got so frustrated. But it only happened a couple times, so I'll just dock a point for that. So 4 out of 5 for immersion. So that's a 9 out of 10 for atmosphere. Graphics time. Style. Okay, I'm really not sure what to call this style, but whatever it is, it's stunning. I cannot get over how beautiful this game is. I love the backgrounds, I love the set pieces, I love the character designs. The lighting design is just phenomenal, and the color choices are perfect. I have zero criticisms here. The visuals alone make this game worth playing. It's a 5 out of 5. I would give it a 10 out of 5 if I could, because it's just that incredible to look at. Immersion. I mentioned this a little bit before, how the graphics helped contribute to the overall immersion of this game. I mean, in all honesty, it's perfect. I love it. The whole world that was created here is just beautiful, and I just couldn't help but want to explore. I wanted to explore every nook and cranny and every corner and find everything. I wanted to see more of this world, and I marvel at it. It's amazing. 5 out of 5, definitely. So the score for graphics is a 10 out of 10. Finally, we have the story, which for me is the most important piece of a game. Pacing. I thought the pacing was actually pretty good. The meeting of each of the different characters, getting the new abilities, hearing more of the story from the tree, he pops in every once in a while. It was all spaced out really, really nice. And the game wasn't so big that you lost track of the story. You could go explore for a little bit, but it never actually detracted from the narrative. Some games that have a lot of exploration sometimes lose the story and all of the fluff. There's just too much. But this one didn't. I think it actually had a very good, nice balance of exploration and the story. I think the only thing in the story that wasn't quite clear enough was the story of the bird. The light did something to her eggs, but it was never really fully explained. I think that's maybe the one part that confused me just a little bit. But other than that, no, everything else was fine. So I will dock a point just for that. So it's a 4 out of 5. But other than that, the storytelling was very good. Engagement. I was completely engaged with the story. It was so simple, but it was also very, very deep. I got very attached, particularly to Gumo. I think I have those names right. Gumo and Naru, when they're on their quest to save Ori. I really loved those two in particular. And I was so happy when Naru was brought back to life. That was, oh my goodness, that was just amazing. I love everything about the story. I love everything. 5 out of 5. Originality. I've played side-scrollers before, but nothing has ever quite been an experience like this. This, for me, was truly a one-of-a-kind game with the storytelling and the atmosphere and just everything. It's unique, and it's very, very lovable. 5 out of 5. How the world and the characters change. The world undergoes a drastic change. It changes every time you complete an area, because every time you complete an area and you put the element back where it's supposed to be, the area gets restored to its previous beauty before the forest died. And I really, really love it. It gives you this feeling like you're actually making a difference when you see the changes in the world. The characters change too. I think Gumo has the change of heart. Naru changes. She literally dies and is brought back to life. I mean, that's a pretty big change. I think the world sees more drastic, noticeable changes than its characters. The change isn't quite balanced. I'll dock a point for that. So 4 out of 5 for how the world and the characters change. So the score there is an 18 out of 20 for story. Once again, a solid score. Let me total this up here. I have this at a 93 out of 100. I believe this is the highest score I've given yet. Let me take a look at some other scores here. So we have Metacritic, puts it at an 88. We have Game Informer, which puts it at a 95. IGN is at an 85. So kind of all over the map a little bit, but we are in a similar vein. I would love to give bonus points to the graphics, but that's kind of cheating. Let's put this into the RITC definitive ranking here. And it's on the top. Not surprised. It even beat A Plague Tale. Wow. I mean, if I gave this 5 bonus points for visuals, it would sit at a 98 out of 100. Seriously, this game's incredible, and it's one of the best recent titles I've played, as the score dictates. Difficulty-wise, I'd put it probably at a 9 out of 10, which is also the highest difficulty score I've ever given. It's a hard game, particularly if you're new to gaming or if you're not used to side-scrollers. My first playthrough, I died over 400 times, just to give you an idea of how difficult this game can be. But subsequent playthroughs get easier and easier. I think my second playthrough of this one that I did, I had 140 something, significantly less. So it gets easier. You just gotta play it a few times. Play this game. If you have not, play it. It's a remarkable experience. You'll cry, you'll laugh, you'll cheer, you might throw your controller once or twice. But I'm telling you, it's worth every second. Okay, my next game review is going to be the Resident Evil 3 remake, which I finished a couple weeks ago. So keep an eye out for that in the next couple of weeks. Again, I apologize that my schedule is a little bit crazy with this move and everything. Hopefully everything will be back to normal soon. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you follow my Facebook page. I stream and I upload on a regular basis. I also have a YouTube and a Twitch, and I use those on occasion as well. So hope to see you next time, and until I see you again, happy childhooding.